Welcome to my Dash Midrange deck tech and sideboard guide. I will be bringing this deck to the pro quests that are coming up in the next weeks. If you want to check out a Dash full guide, I will leave the description below and also click the info card up here. I built this deck with the metagame in mind. I expect a lot of Prism, Viserai and Guardians, especially Oldim and the new Bravo star of the show. Note that this is a techie build, and although it keeps a lot of the Dash midrange core intact, there are few notable cards missing. There is no Tome of Fendal, Maximum Velocity or Teklo core, and for now I cut the Eye of Ophidia as well. Furthermore, the list is not set in stone and can change depending on how the metagame evolves going forward. As per usually, you can find my deck list down in the description below and in the pinned tweet. Let's get into the deck tech. Our hero, of course, is Dash Inverter Extraordinaire, and the only weapon you need is the Teklo Plasma Pistol, a nice cold foil pistol. And first, let's look at the equipment that we have. The best piece of equipment that Dash have is these boots. And it's just a common, the Achilles accelerators. This gives you action point and also has arcane barrier included. This is a nice piece, and I don't think I will ever play other boots in Dash, but you never know. Then for the standard equipment that you see in all the Dash lists, you have the Arcanite Skull Cap, the Teklo Foundry Heart and the Goliath Gauntlets. And then here comes the first pieces of tech of the deck. I added new rune gloves because I feel like for Viserai having new rune 2 is quite good for Rosetta Thorn, Vexin Malice, etc. Then the other one, if you expect a lot of wizard, you have the Visitronic Model I1. This is only if you expect a lot of wizard. This card can be cut if you don't see any wizard, but I think I would expect a lot of wizard in the beginning at least, so this is why it's in the deck. And the last piece of equipment, which I think is quite interesting, is the new chest piece in Spring Tunic. I think this could be good just if you have to block out a lot of games or against Kano. Having a free resource every couple of turns is quite good. And I'll go more in detail in the sideboard guide on which equipment you want to pick, if you want one or the other for all of the 3 slots. You need not to kick the cards around, but yeah, this is what you start the game with. Now let's start to look at the core of the deck. As I mentioned before, we are not playing with Eye of Ophidia anymore, even though it's quite good. I feel like I had to cut these to make space for the cards that I played in the deck. So Eye of Ophidia for now, it's in the sideline. Let's look at the items that we play in the main deck. We are going to play 1 induction chamber, 2 induction chambers, and then 1 plasma purifier. These are like the starting items that you want in almost every matchup, and you want to start with induction chamber most of the times, and plasma purifier maybe against the elemental guardians, just because of Crown of Seeds and Rampart. You want to like push 1 damage through, so you want to play plasma purifier instead of giving them free block. With that said, we have the starting items. If you don't draw them, we have the nice Spark of Genius as a tutor. This is a Dash specialization that lets you look for Mechanologist card and put them into the arena. So this is a good way to like find the items, and also blocks for 3, which is not irrelevant. The only not Mechanologist card in the main deck is a playset of Command and Conquer. This card is really good because forces the block or the arsenal loss. So I really like this card in the main deck, and I would see that sideboard out in some matchups, but with this configuration it will not be sided out. Then as core for Mechanologist card, the most efficient attack that boost, we have 3 0 to 60, 3 0 to 60 and 3. So 9 0 to 60 all in all the color. These are quite powerful. So we have the 0 to 60s, and as well we have the 9 zipper hits. This is part of the core of the Dash midrange. Most likely this will not be changed unless you want to play some T-bones in red and yellow, but otherwise you just keep these ones. Then after we saw the core, now we see the blues that are in the main deck, which is the main feeder for the combo of the Purifier Induction Chamber. so you need a lot of blues, and our blues are pedal to the metal. We have the Megatronic Shockwave, Magnetic Shockwave, sorry. You have the Lock and Loaded, that is non-attack action, so it's good against the sabers and bolting. New card, we have T-Bones. This is really good to like try to bait out some equipment. I played last night against Lexi and I was able to pick off all of their equipments with T-Bones, so that was really nice. We have Throttles and Over the Loop. This is our core deck. As I said, it's 45 cards. And now let's jump into the sideboard. So the techie cards that I'm playing in the sideboard is This Round Is On Me, which is quite good against Lexi and Kodachis and Boltin, or it's just a blue to pitch if you need. I was playing 2, but I decided to cut down to 1 for adding an extra space for the unmovable in the sideboard that we will see in a bit. Then we have the best card printed in the Everfest, which is the Solution Sphere. This is really good against several matchups like Prism and Viscerai and any aggressive matchups. You can check out my video about the best cards in Everfest if you want more details on why this card is in the deck. But this card has been really good so far in testing, so there is no reason not to play 3 in your deck. The last somewhat techie card is the Remembrance. If you see a lot of Smashing Good Time, or also it's good to rebind back the Dissolution Sphere. In case you just run all 3, you have Remembrance, you can get back all 3 of them, so you have some extra blocks against some decks, so been liking Remembrance a lot in the deck. Then let's look at the aggressive package that we still have in our sideboard. If we want to go a bit more aggressive, we have 3 Ioctanes, if you want to go aggressive as I said, and also Bloods for 3, lets you cycle, lots of good stuff. Then we have a Throttle, which is like a 6 attack, so breaks Prism Auras, plus it's a good attacking card. And last but not least for the attacking card, we have 2 Plasma Purifiers. In some matchups you want to push a bit more damage, so you bring in the Plasma Purifiers. Now that we saw the aggressive package, let's look at the defensive package. Against a lot of the aggressive matchups, what you want to do is to block and like survive for a while, and then you can go for your boost turns. So for surviving, of course, we have the best card ever printed as a defense reaction. That is a Sink Below. You have 3 Sink Belows, followed by like the second best, which is Wait for Sin, another defense reaction that blocks for 4. Then Guardian is a problem. Guardian is strong. So with the usual suspect of the 3 unmovable reds, we are adding to the mix 2 unmovable yellows, which is really good also against Prism. Some of their attacks now take care about being broken. From 6 or more power, this blocks some of the attacks, and also it's 2 yellow if you want to get rid of the library of Solana. And the last card that we have is Sigil of Solace. We have 3 of them, and from all of these sideboard cards, whenever you play a matchup, you want to set in 15 of them, since our main deck is 45. Now let's jump into every matchup and see what cards you want to bring in. The first matchup we are going to look at is Prism. I think with Prism, what I would like to do is play in Foundry Heart as the equipment, just because Blast for 2 and some dominated attacks that you need to take care of. And as headpiece, we play the Skull Cap, and as hand, we play Goliath Gauntlet. And of course we have the accelerators, I'm gonna leave them here in the corner up here. This is not gonna change. Then what 15 cards we are going to pick from our sideboard against Prism. Of course the first 4 that comes into my mind is the one that like Spectral Shield don't do damage to you. Then we are going to play the Throttles, which are like the Aura Breakers. And I think in this matchup you also want to be a bit more aggressive, so you want to play the high octanes. Let me put them up here. And for the last 5 cards, I think you want the unmovable yellows for the library and also for like some of the dominated attacks. And then I'll probably do like 2 Plasma Purifier to put a bit more pressure. And the last card is kind of up to you. I think I'll play like a Remembrance for like just breaking the library, but I could see like setting also like not Sigil, sorry, one unmovable or a Sink Below. The last slot is one of these 3, depending how you feel like. I would probably play the Remembrance. Next up, we have the Elemental Guardians, and the equipment is gonna be the same as playing against Prism. And here is where like Command and Conquer might not be great if they have Kano Seeds, but I don't think there is enough sideboard space to cut the Command and Conquers. And it's still like 6 damage that I need to respect. But here, what we want is for sure the defense reactions. So we're going to play all of the unmovables. We're going to play the Plasma Purifiers. This is best item to go over their blocks. And then I think we need to mix up a bit of the aggressive and defensive. So for the last 8 cards, what I would like to play is probably like High Octanes and the Throttles, which leave us with 2 cards left. And in this spot, I will probably play 2 Sink Belows as well, because this is the suite against the Bravos. And I feel like this sideboard is gonna be the same for the other Bravo. So against all the Guardians, this is gonna be your sideboard. Now let's jump into the other deck that I think is one of the key players of the metagame going forward. And this hero is going to be the Viserai. So with Viserai, and also the other Runeblades, I think the sideboard is gonna be pretty similar. So we're gonna have Chain and Briar. So in here we cut Goliath Gauntlets and the Teklo Foundry Heart for Spring Tunic and the Northern Gloves. And in here, those especially Briar and Viserais are the decks that I expect them to have Smashing Good Time the most in their deck, since it's gonna be replacing Plunder Run most likely. So for this reason, what I want to do against them is first to side in the best card for this matchup that has been printed in Everfest, which is this Solution Sphere, and then playing a Remembrance to get them back, and also if they smash Good Time your items, you're gonna get them back. Then we go on full on defense, which means that we are going to play 3 Sing Billows and 3 Fate for Sin and 3 Sigil of Solace. And this bring us to 13 cards. The last 2 cards you want to play, I feel like the unmovables are too clunky, so no unmovable here, but I'll probably play one. This round is on me. And for the last card, I'm like, there's an option to go in for the Throttle or the Plasma Purifier, or maybe an unmovable to just surprise them. I don't think we need, maybe if Briar is on Channel Mount Heroic, and Viserai has some big attacks too, so yeah, I could see maybe siding one unmovable red. I talked myself into playing the unmovable red. This is where like cutting my second these rounds on me to make space for the yellow unmovable might bite me, but I feel like we are already like solid as configuration, and I think Viserai is a good matchup. Briar, probably good, and Chain is varied. But yeah, this is what I would do against the Runeblades. Next, let's look at the mirror. I added the Goliath Gauntlet, Tunic, and Skull Cap, and let's bring Dash Clone. What you want to do in the mirror is like usually who set up first their items. For this reason, we want to add the extra 2 purifiers. This is key in the matchup. Whoever gets all their items first is usually gonna be able to deal lots of damage, while the other one cannot. Then I'm gonna bring Sigil of Solace, because this is a race, so this could help. I'm gonna add this round is on me just because it's a blue card, and your main win is to do the Plasma Purifier. Also, one thing that can help against the Dash Mirror is going aggressive, is whoever can deal more damage first. There is some blocking involved, but not too much. So for this reason, I think we are going to go for some sort of aggro plan, hoping they are not playing dash aggro. This kind of edge that we are going to be the slightly more controller, slightly more damage, but not get overwhelmed by too much aggression. And here, so I'm gonna bring in the Throttles, and then we have 3 more cards to side in. And I think in the mirror, I kind of like to having the Sink Below, especially late game, where we have to dig for blue cards, and when the Plasma Purifiers pistol attack for 4, you can have Sink Belows. So this is my sideboard against the mirror. Next up on chopping block, we have the 2 Rangers. I would keep these items against Rangers. There is an option of Teklo Foundry Heart. I think if you know they are playing Ice Lexi, I would play Foundry Heart over Tunic, but in the unknown, I would play Tunic. This is better if they have like Sun Dominate attack, blocks better, so you don't get frostbitten, but frostbites don't hurt Dash too much. So, of course, against this deck, we are going to use the Dissolution Spheres, our cheap defense reactions of Sing Below's Fate for Sin. Also, the more I think about it, I feel like I'm gonna sideboarding the same for for Katsu. So let's add Katsu to the mix. It's gonna make the video shorter, hopefully. So we're gonna play This Runs on Me and Sigil of Solaces. And for the last cards, I'm gonna play Remembrance, just in case they have the Smashing Good time, if Dash is expected in the metagame. And also here is like another matchup that kind of lost a bit because of we are at 14 cards and I cut this runs on me. So I'll just probably put in a card that blocks for 3. You can have either High Octane that blocks for 3 and you can cycle it to find a blue card, or a Throttle. I think maybe assuming they're a bit more control-y, we can like play the Throttle instead of the High Octane. So this is sideboard for Ranger and Ninja. Next up we have our favorite Blitz hero, Kano. So in this case, we are going to play Tunic, Visiatronic, and Neuron Gloss. This gives us Arcane Barrier 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. What we want to do with Kano is to put on pressure. How do we put on pressure? With our aggressive package of Plasma Purifier, Throttles, High Octanes, and how we don't die is by playing Sigil of Solace. This runs on me as a blue pitch, which is good for Arcane Barrier. And I think the rest I'm gonna play the Dissolution Sphere. This is quite interesting because you can Arcane Barrier for 1 less than the Arcane damage. So Dissolution Sphere like soaks up 1 damage and pitches for 2. It's probably like our best option against like with all of this card. Removable is only good if they have a Nourishing Emptiness, otherwise it's dead. You could set in the yellow one want instead of the Dissolution Sphere, but I feel like Dissolution Sphere gives more value. Also, one other thing you could do is probably like play a Remembrance for instead of Dissolution Sphere. The problem is you cannot buy back Sigil of Solace with Remembrance, so I think this is the final list for Kano. We have only a few heroes left. Next one on the chopping blocks is the Brutes. We have Reiner and Levia. Both of them have big attacks with not really on hit effects. So it's toss up between Tunic and Heart. I think in this matchup I'm actually gonna set in Tunic just because of the bigger damage. Of course, not New Rune and not Visiatronic, but we go back to Skullcap and Goliath Gauntlet. I think in this matchup you want to set up like the pistol control. So what I would do in this matchup is to bring in all of the defense reactions. It's gonna be a similar sideboard to the Guardians, but we are not gonna bring in any extra Plasma Purifiers. But if you don't play Remembrance in the deck, I think you want to set in 1 extra Purifier just because of Arg Smash. But yeah, here we go. Defense mode. Let me find the 2 unmovables and then the thing below. They have big attacks, so this is what we're going to start. And of course, the 15th card is going to be a Remembrance for, as mentioned, Arg Smash. And also, mainly for Arg Smash. I was thinking what else. But yeah, this is what I would side in against the 2 Brutes. Last up, we have the Warriors left. So I think I'm gonna group them together because the Rintia can run the Sabers. So some cards like it's for like Sabers and bolting abilities. But what we want here is of course the basic defense reactions of Sing Below, Fate for Sin. We want the non-attack actions that block for 3 as a High Octane, and this runs on me. Also this is good against Bolting because they attack at +1 but then gets -1, so they cannot for free use the attack reaction on Bolting. And we need 3 more cards, sorry, 5 more cards. Here the options are Sigil of Solace, the Unmovables, and the Dissolution Sphere. And I feel like if I would be sideboarding right now, I would bring in like the Dissolution Spheres and the Sigil of Solace, making 15. I think this is really a close call of what you can set in the Unmovable too. But for sure, these are like the main cards you want to bring in. And then you have options. and this is like what I would pick probably as my option. Or you can maybe the movables instead of Sigillus Solus. It gives you like more resources, and it's a nice surprise defense reaction if they try to go for a big turn. But this is it. We went through all of the heroes. While I was picking up cards, I think what I want against the Dorinthian Boltin is actually to play with the Tunic over the Foundry Heart. So I'll make sure to put it in the sideboarding notes that you can check with the link description or in the description down below. But yeah, this was just me trying to rush to the last class we had left for the deck tech. I hope you enjoy my deck tech for the deck I'm gonna bring at the ProQuest and how I would sideboard in every matchup. If you like and find it useful, please leave like and also leave comment, help me with the YouTube algorithm. With that said, I will be reporting after my ProQuest, so if you want to check the results and how the deck will change, follow me on Twitter or join my Discord server and follow the updates. Bye bye!